This is Block 11, Reagan's Revolution, Part 5, The Cold War Ends, with the section The Fall of the Berlin Wall. In August of 1989, Solidarity, after 8 years of vying for power with General Jaruzelski, felt strong enough to call a general strike that Solidarity would lead pretty much everyone in Poland walking out of their jobs at a particular time. And in return for them returning to their jobs, the Polish government would have to call for free elections for a new Polish government. This was a challenge. Solidarity was strong enough to think they could call this. They called for a general strike, and the entire nation of Poland, except for kind of the communist government itself, shut down. The dictator of Poland, General Jaruzelski, called Soviet leader Gorbachev to send in the Soviet military to back up his rule. Now we have to go back through a little Cold War history here at this point. In 1948, Czechoslovakia tried to break away from the Soviet orbit. Stalin sent in the tanks. In 1953, in East Germany tried to break out of the Soviet orbit. Stalin had sent in the tanks and the troops to keep communists in power. In 1956, in Hungary had tried to break out of the Soviet orbit, and Khrushchev had sent in troops and tanks to keep communists in power. In 1968, Czechoslovakia tried to break away from the Soviet orbit, and Brezhnev had sent in troops and tanks to maintain communist power. And now, in 1989, General Jaruzelski in Poland calls on Moscow to send in troops, send in tanks, crush Solidarity once and for all, and keep communists in power in Poland. To Gorbachev's credit, when Jaruzelski asked for troops, Gorbachev saw the writing on the wall, and he refused to send in the Russian military. Lacking any sort of support at home and not getting any support from Moscow, Jaruzelski gave in to Solidarity's demands and called for free elections in Poland. The elections were held weeks later. About 450 congressmen, I don't know what they call them in Poland, but 450 members of a legislature were voted for in Poland, and a president as well. The Polish Communist Party did not win one single seat, and Lech Walesa was elected president of a new, free, democratic Poland. For the first time since the Cold War had begun, democracy had returned to Eastern Europe. Shortly thereafter, the communist regimes in Hungary and Czechoslovakia fell to the same types of general strikes. This here is Václav Havel. He was a poet, and he was the leader of the Hungarian resistance, the Hungarian underground movement. And here we can see the people in the capital of Hungary, in Budapest, cheering on Václav Havel, and he was elected the president of a new, free Hungary. And then in November of 1989, and I remember watching this on television. It's very strange to be doing lecture notes for a history class for something that I watched on TV. In November of 1989, the demonstrations spread to Berlin, and they demanded that the East Berlin government, the East German government, allow for free passage over the wall into West Berlin. They demanded that East Germany hold elections themselves, just like Poland and Hungary and Czechoslovakia had, in which anybody was free to run, obviously not just communist. The communist leader of East Germany, a man by the name of Erich Honecker, he knew his time was up, and he told the East German secret police that if people wanted to cross over the Berlin Wall, nobody was to be harassed to do it. For 30 plus years, anyone trying to cross the Berlin Wall from East Berlin to West Berlin would be shot. And then one night in November, the decision was made not to prevent people from crossing over. The next morning, the news leaked out, and Berliners from East and West kind of gathered around the wall. And East Berliners started just kind of walking up to it, and they saw the guards not stopping them. And all of a sudden, people started climbing on the wall. And they went home and they got their own chisels and axes and hammers, and they started beating on the wall and breaking it to bits. By the time November 10th, 1989 was over, an enormous party had broken out in Berlin. And I remember watching this on TV. I was 8 years old. I didn't know what it meant, but I remember my parents saying, "Sit down. You'll want to tell your children that you watched this." And I remember the look on my parents' faces. They could not believe it. That since 1961, the Berlin Wall was the symbol of the Cold War. It seemed permanent. This gigantic, enormous granite wall dividing the free West from the communist East. And then all of a sudden, in one night in 1989, it just was no longer there. It was not anything that people believed they would see in their lifetimes. And then we watched it on television, and I didn't get it. My parents did, and I remember the look on their faces. Just, I didn't think I would live to see this. And if they felt that way, imagine how the people in Berlin felt. By Christmas of that year, even the hardcore repressive communist regimes in Romania and Bulgaria, they fell too. By around Christmas of 1989, and all of a sudden, all of those Eastern Bloc, Soviet-dominated countries were Soviet-dominated no more, and all of them have become functioning, democratic, generally capitalist, pretty much free countries in the 15 years that have passed since then. A year later, in October of 1990, over some French resistance, East Germany and West Germany ceased to exist, and West Germany absorbed East Germany, and one united Germany, with its capital at Berlin, came into existence. And for the first time since 1945, Germany was whole on the map of Europe again. Then the changes spread to the Soviet Union itself.